Fit to Love, episode 144, cell phone health hazards, including cancers.
Fit to Love is physical, emotional, and spiritual fitness to achieve the happy life you deserve. From exercise to cooking, relationships, and spirituality, you'll find all the inspiration you need right here with our host, JJ Flizanes.
Hello and welcome to Fit to Love Wellness Wednesdays. Today's show, cell phone health hazards, including cancers. Solutions for the 21st century pollution. We have with us today Elizabeth Plourde, Dr. Elizabeth Plourde. She is a menopause practitioner, medical researcher, health educator, and internationally known author whose books, EMF Freedom, Solutions for the 21st Century Pollution, and Sunscreens Biohazard, Treat as Hazardous Waste, reveal how to reduce the health impact of wireless devices and alternatives to the sunscreens that can lead to skin cancers they were intended to prevent. The cell phones and Wi-Fi we are now surrounded by create a variety of symptoms, including headaches, insomnia, itchy skin rashes, dizziness, nausea, and heart palpitations. Essential for everyone, Dr. Plourde offers simple, inexpensive techniques for cell phone and Wi-Fi radiation survival in today's electrified world, as well as safer sun exposure. Welcome to the show, Dr. Plourde.
Thank you so much. And I appreciate the opportunity to be here because I believe that what I keep revealing in all the studying and research that I'm doing is that I have information that everybody needs to be aware of in order to protect themselves to not only survive what's being thrown at us, but to thrive in it.
Well, it's a big topic, and I've been asked, and people have wondered, what is the cell phone doing to me? What's happening to my body? What do I need to be worried about? How do I deal with that? So let's first, before we get into this topic, I see some letters next to your name besides Ph.D. I understand that. Can you explain what the other ones are, C.L.S. and NCMP?
Yes, I'm a clinical laboratory scientist, state licensed in California, and we're the ones who do all the testing in the lab. So I have a huge biochemistry background, which is why I can do the research I'm doing and piece it together to alert people as to what's happening in their cells from these assaults that we're under. And then the NCMP is a North American Menopause Society certified menopause practitioner. And I've consulted around the world on hormone. I still do. I'm a menopause consultant and I consult worldwide.
And I'm sure they're all connected. I'm sure the cell phones affect our hormones. Yes?
Yes, they do. Absolutely,
Okay.
they do. And one of the things they do is they lower a woman's progesterone. And then when that's lowered, they're more prone to bleeding and more prone to problems with their menstrual cycle.
Well, that leads us right into what symptoms are we seeing with cell phone and Wi-Fi use? So do they all act the same? Like, do cell phones and Wi-Fi, that means just the same thing, right? It's all electromagnetic frequency?
Yes, it is. It just depends on different frequencies, depending on your cell phone carrier, and your Wi-Fi carrier, as well as the smart meters. The smart meters have just caused havoc on us. What they're measuring your electricity and eventually gas and water, depending on what state you are. Some have all three already, and some only have one. But these are microwave transmitters. They're the same frequency as a microwave oven, and they're pulsing multiple times a minute, 24 hours a day. And this has been the tipping point. We are seeing very sick people here in America where these are being rolled out. And the technology that we've found that helps alleviate the symptoms is from England. They're made in England. And England has declared a moratorium on smart meters, so they are not near as sick as we are here. The manufacturer flew over here in February to feel what we're feeling compared to England that doesn't have them. And the problem with the 24 hours is that there is absolutely nowhere to go anymore for the body to do the repair it needs to do from the damage that's happening from these electromagnetic radiations hitting us. And that pulsing frequency is much more damaging to our DNA. And so this is really, I can tell what cities in the country the smart meters have gone into, because that's where I start getting the calls of people being sick. And I got involved in it because the primary symptoms are headache and insomnia and fatigue and irritability, and those are symptoms of menopause. So several years ago, I started getting calls. There was a cluster of calls from San Francisco area where they got their smart meters a couple years before Southern California did. And I was getting calls from women who were young, way too early to go in menopause. And they were saying, I must be going into early menopause because I've got these headaches and I can't sleep. And I am so tired and I'm so irritable. And when I looked at their profile that I have them fill out, it wasn't hormones. And so I talked to each one of them in depth. And the common denominator was they had had a smart meter put on their residence within weeks or months of these symptoms coming up.
So I haven't heard of a smart meter. I may have one, I don't know, but I would like to, since what this brings up for me is all the things that what we're not aware of. So let's just go through all the devices and things that have these damaging EMF frequencies. So obviously you said cell phone, and most of us have a cell phone, and anything that's electric like that, correct? So iPads, cell phones, what else?
Right. The Wi-Fi, the computers, televisions, they're part of the electromagnetic radiation spectrum. The smart meters are what has the plan is for the whole of America to be smart metered with all three of these meters to measure the electricity, gas, and water. And what they're saying is it will help them plan and save, and it'll be better. But the damage to our bodies, it is an assault. I liken it to what's happening. We're being machine gunned. The radiations are machine gunning us throughout our whole body, and they're putting holes in every cell membrane. Our membranes are in place to protect the cell so that things don't get in that shouldn't be there, things don't leak out that shouldn't leak out, as well as our protective barriers, our blood-brain barrier, our whole gut lining, and the placenta to help protect the fetal development. All of these are getting holes in them, so they're all leaking, and this is causing havoc. It's staggering, the symptoms, and it's very provable in the lab animals. If they expose a rat to only 2 hours, 2-hour exposure to one cell phone, and they look at his brain 50 days later, there's holes in the whole blood-brain barrier and dark areas where all the brain cells are dead, literally dead. So, and this is happening to all of us. And then the holes in our gut lining, I don't know if you've heard of the horrendous increase in food allergies today, but that's because the food particles are leaking into the blood when they shouldn't. And I had that experience. The other thing that happened to me is that smart meters went into our neighborhood while I was in the middle of writing my EMF Freedom book about the radiation. And I, in 30 days, had a rash head to toe and could not eat anything. I was allergic to everything. So I experienced this itchy skin rash as well as these holes in my gut lining. And I know I have antibodies to all the foods because I was poisoned with mercury 15 years ago, created leaky gut. And for a year, all I could eat was carrots, potatoes, beef, and lamb. That was it because I reacted to everything else. It took me several years to heal my gut lining. And once I did, I could eat everything again. And I was eating everything when the smart meters went into the neighborhood. And yet in 30 days, I had so many holes in my gut lining, I couldn't eat anything. I was reacting to even organic cucumbers. And when that happened, I just quit eating and was losing about 4 pounds a week until I found a spray, a mouse spray that literally healed my gut in 5 days. It was fabulous. Much better than the 2 years it took me to heal it before.
Well, we're going to want to know about that spray. But before we get to solutions, let's continue talking about sort of the overview of the problem. So all these different symptoms, we got headache, irritability, can't sleep. What other symptoms did you mention that are common for cell phone and Wi-Fi use?
Heart palpitations, dizziness, vertigo, nausea. These are the most common ones. They really are. There's also ear ringing and blurry vision, and several people have said that they've had that. It's not quite as common as the others. So, but the headaches are caused by the electrical charge on our red blood cells is being altered, and they start sticking together. And when they stick together, they can't deliver the oxygen to the tissues. And if anybody's had a high altitude headache, which is caused by lack of oxygen, it's not a pleasant thing to experience. I've experienced it once. And this is what's happening. I get these calls from everywhere across the nation. I get a headache every time I get on my cell phone. And that's because all the red blood cells are stuck together and can't deliver oxygen to the tissues. So that's the headache problem. Then the insomnia, these radiations lower our melatonin. And melatonin is what we need to go into sleep and get into the deep sleep our body needs to do the repair. And we just don't have enough melatonin at night, especially if people are looking at TV or their computer or cell phone. The blue light also lowers melatonin. So we've got a double whammy of lowered melatonin. And I have people calling me, talking to me about their insomnia, and they say, well, I'm watching TV to try to go to sleep, and all that is doing is increasing the problem, developing less melatonin in their body.
Well, speaking of using technology to go to sleep, I mean, I'm glad, obviously, we're having this conversation for many reasons, but that further validates. I've always practiced and encouraged people, since sleep is really one of the most overlooked and most important health regimens that we need in terms of rejuvenating our body and regenerating our body, but having that high vibrational frequency happening in that sort of what it does for your eyes and your brain and the images and the speed of all of that, and not having people not come down. Of course you can't sleep when you have, and people that sleep with it on, who have constant anxiety, I'm like, well, you had to shut it off. I mean, just because you're being hypnotized, as well as all that frequency is getting into you all hours of the night anyway. So anyway, this is the things that I sort of intuitively know, but now you're giving us the research that tells us why.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate you being on the show, Dr. Plourde, because like I said, there's sort of intuitive hits, about things that are sort of healthy, but you can't really explain them. And so I love that there are doctors like you out there who are researching the reasons. So for the people that need that solid science to say, that the cell phones, the TVs, and all the electromagnetic frequency lowers your melatonin, which is why you can't sleep well, gives a validation for someone who might not have listened in the past to maybe consider that this is something that they need to change. So we're talking about all the different symptoms. Let's just go over quickly what the long-term conditions and diseases from overexposure and not helping this would be.
I have absolutely biochemically traced that electromagnetic radiation is responsible for Alzheimer's. There's a lot of reasons for all these conditions, and my answer is it's all of the above, but electromagnetic radiation is absolutely contributing to the Alzheimer's, to autism, to cancers, to diabetes, to autoimmune diseases like multiple sclerosis. There's no doubt biochemically. And the sad thing is that there was a study published 30 years ago that proved cell phones would cause brain cancer. And that was way before they launched this whole campaign to make America 98% covered with cell towers. And people are so sick. If they're living near the cell towers, they call me. They are very, very sick. And Brazil did a great study where in the third largest city in Brazil, they located all the cell towers and then identified all the cancer deaths in relation to the distance from the cell tower. And it's just a perfect curve of if you're close, you've got a lot of cancers. And if you're out 1,000 meters, the cancers just drop off to nil. So the cancer is definitely there. Then as far as the Alzheimer's, it destroys the cells in the brain related to memory. Our research animals show us this. They're absolutely dead on exposure and not very much exposure at all. And before the cell phone generation, they had already identified that electric heat alone in the home would lead to Alzheimer's because it is impacting that particular cell. So there's no doubt about the increasing Alzheimer's that we're seeing. As far as autism, there are so many biochemical, I have it outlined in the book, biochemical displays of autistic kids that are caused by electromagnetic radiation. And one is the leaking of the cell. The leaking of the cell allows calcium to leak out and get in between the cells. And this should not happen. And this is because of the holes. And when they do autopsies on autistic children, their brains show all this calcium leaked out in their brain throughout their brain. So this is absolutely one of the problems for the kids. And then the autistic kids have the leaky gut. So they have been really impacted by electromagnetic radiation. And that's part of the thing that we're seeing. Autism when cell phones and sunscreens, I've also connected sunscreens, but when they were introduced in the 70s, autism was 1 in 2,222, and it's now 1 in 38 boys. And boys are more impacted than girls, 5 to 1 boys, and that's the sunscreen. Sunscreens are very anti-testosterone. They're much more disrupted in their fetal development in the uterus by the sunscreens.
Well, we're definitely going to bring you back to do a whole show on sunscreen because it needs its own time. But from what I'm hearing, and obviously we're all aware to some degree that electromagnetic frequencies are not good for us and that they definitely compromise our health. But unfortunately, just like GMOs, because I'm pretty much again, I want natural food, and for 30 years or more, we've been genetically modifying our foods. But rather than I'm the person who wants to educate everyone so that you're aware of it and tell you how to make different choices versus the one that's going to go protest against it and fight against it, because that won't really help my life. Someone else is going to do that. I'm happy that they're doing that. That won't be me, but I definitely want to empower people on how to deal with what our reality is. And our reality of it is that EMFs are not going away. And like you said, the smart meters are coming. And while I may not like it and I may try to have it changed, I might not be successful in that. So let's empower us with what to do about it. Like, what can we control? And I know you have plenty of suggestions. Yes?
Yes, I do. Lots.
Okay, great. Great. So obviously, I know you have a lot, and I
Yeah.
want to give you that space to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a break and thank our sponsors, come right back and tell everybody listening what you can do to protect yourselves and survive against all this electromagnetic frequencies that we have to deal with on a regular basis. So we'll be right back. Is your website working for you? If it's not, and you're frustrated with your brand, website, or current online results, Every Angle Media can help transform your existing business presence and build you a website that works when you're not working. Every Angle Media is a full-service web development firm that specializes in solving problems with open-source solutions. We offer complete design services, custom content management systems, fully integrated e-commerce solutions, cross-platform mobile development, and custom third-party integration, and we're here to help. Visit our site to see our work at everyanglemedia.com or give us a call at 310-798-7228. Again, that's everyanglemedia.com. Do you want to look and feel years younger? Learn more about your hormone health and how to get properly tested. Sign up for the Healthy Hormone Kit at nourishingwellness.com. It features the essential tests you need to tell your doctor to order for you to learn more about your current levels. Plus, you'll receive lots of healthy eating and lifestyle tips to improve your hormone health naturally. Again, that's www.nourishingwellness.com. Okay, Dr. Plourde, how can we protect ourselves when we're bombarded all the time?
In many ways, and we had been talking about the smart meters. The first thing you can do, depending on the state you're in California, where I am, a judge ruled they can't be mandatory. You can call your utility companies and say you want to be on the permanent opt-out list, and I highly suggest it. Some of the companies are charging $10 a month. It is the best health insurance you can buy. We have got to get this radiation off of our houses so our body can do the repair it needs to do at night. And don't bring in the appliances that are supposed to be connecting to the smart meter to tell the company how much your refrigerator is using, your dishwasher, washer and dryer. I have had people call that got one of these new appliances in that is radiating the microwave, and they got so sick they had to call the appliance company and say, get it out of here. I'm too sick. It can't stay here. So, and this goes along with the furnace too. This now, people are spending a couple $100 to put what they call a nest to regulate their thermostat, and these are causing havoc also. And we can go along with electric cars. The electric cars, the consults that I do, what I've been able to ascertain, some of them who are very, very sick, we've been able to identify that illness started when they got their electric car. So whether it was a year or 2 years, that's when they can identify, that's when they started going downhill. They never did a study. I searched and searched the literature to try to find a study. Nobody ever did a study to see if humans could really tolerate sitting in an electric automobile. But as far as personal, what happened for me when I had a rash head to toe, could not use a cell phone anymore, could not use a computer anymore. I'd get itchy bloody rashes immediately on using them, even though I had other devices that are being marketed that say they protect against electromagnetic radiation. When I had all these hundreds and hundreds of dollars of devices and I still could not use my cell phone or computer, I kind of gave up. I didn't know what to do. And I finally found a company in England that is making what I call as just heaven sent, because in 2 days I was able to go back out in public. I had quit going out in public because I would feel everybody's cell phone like a knife going into me. 100 people, I'd have 100 knives in my body. It was way too painful to go out. I also couldn't go in Wi-Fi buildings. I'd feel dizzy, vertigo, nausea, and then the food allergies. So putting this BioDot on is what it's called. In 2 days, I could go back out in public, and in a week, I could be back on the computer. It was just phenomenal, the change. What it does is it actually homeopathically strengthens your energy field to be strong again. Because we're not only getting holes in our cell membrane, we're getting holes in our energy field around us. And we have pictures on our website that show the holes and then the solid energy field within 2 days of using our products. So it has been the most rewarding thing I've done in my 50 years of medicine because people call in 24, 48 hours and say, I feel so good. I had a biological building inspector they check out your home, where is the electromagnetic radiation coming from? And he had told this woman to call me, and she waited 3 weeks. She had such a bad headache. She was wearing aluminum foil on her head, and it wasn't helping. And when she called and got our BioDot, in 24 hours, her headache was gone. She called me back and she goes, I wish I hadn't waited 3 weeks because I suffered for 3 weeks needlessly. Your dot just worked so well. So we are able to get people sleeping and their headaches gone, their rash is gone, just feeling so much better with these devices. There's one to wear. It's called the BioDot. There's one. We now have a brand new product that the manufacturer has updated the dot that they had for the cell phone and are now called smart dots because the new cell phones are so powerful. They're causing havoc. People even 18-year-olds are saying they can't hold it. And the radiation is cumulative. They put the lead apron on you in the dental chair because they know x-rays are cumulative. This is all part of the electromagnetic radiation spectrum. These are cumulative too. And so I'm 72 now. I started all these reactions at the age of 70 after being on a computer since they were invented. But we're even seeing 18-year-olds who can't hold these new cell phones without burning, numbness, tingling all the way up their arm. And so these new cell phones, they've brought them way up right to the edge of the power limit that the FCC allows for the cell phones. And so this new smart dot for these new smartphones, all the new smart technology, for the iPads are, we're having people call saying the numbness, tingling, their skin splitting open on their fingers with the iPads. They're very powerful also, as well as for the new smart TVs. So any of this new smart technology. So we have smart dots for all of this now, and we're thrilled to be able to have it. That the company just, stepped right up and created a device to help this. And so we have people back to work. People call us that haven't been able to work in 1, 3, 8 years because they can't be near cell phones or computers. We get them back to work with these technologies and wearing these and then putting these on all the electronic devices that they have, as well as reducing their exposure, getting rid of things like cordless phones. The cordless phones are as bad as cell phones. They put out a lot of radiation. I helped a family in a small town that is amazing. They don't have cell phone service. It's amazing to think there's any town today that in America that doesn't have cell service, but they didn't. They didn't have internet or cell, and yet all 7 of her kids were itching like mad. She'd gone through all the laundry soap. She'd gone through all the foods. She called me desperate. And what the common denominator there was that they had 5 cordless phones throughout the house. And when they got rid of those, the itching stopped. So, and I have in my book the explanation as to why the skin starts itching and opening up and bleeding. And the TVs are not, they are harmful. Before I started wearing the dot, if my husband turned the TV on in the next room, my skin would open up and bleed before I could handle, healing my skin by wearing the BioDot. So we decided not to have a TV anymore just because why expose yourself to the radiation? But I have been speaking all over America for the last year at medical conventions. And so having to stay in hotels where the TV is just 2 feet from the bed. And I have no problem. I can do this. I can be in these Wi-Fi buildings, all these hotels with no problem by wearing the dot.
So you talked about earlier a spray, and then I want to talk about because I have one of your dots. I think I had more than one of your dots, and I think the last one ended up on my last cell phone, and this one or my last computer, I don't know, or maybe I have one, maybe I have two, maybe the other one's on the computer too. Anyway, I want to know where to put the one I have, and I want to get more. And then you talked about wearing them, and then the spray. So let's start with the dots go on the equipment. Yes.
Yes, they do. And they go out 5 feet. So if you put it on the computer, it doesn't matter where you put it on. Doesn't matter where you put it on the cell phone. Just don't put it right directly on the battery, anywhere on the cell phone. And what those dots do is they actually alter the radiations coming off of that cell phone or device to a frequency that's compatible with our human energy field. So very different than any other device out there. We have talked to a doctor who assured us that he had exhaustively bought every device on the market for his electromagnetic sensitive son. Nothing had worked. And he said, "Do you think your Biodot will work?" And I said, "Well, nothing else worked for me." He called in a week. He said, "These work." And his whole office now is wearing the Biodot, as well as all of his patients. And I've had his patients call me and thank me for introducing the doctor to him because it was the first relief they'd had. So the dots can go anywhere, and they can go on the smart meter if you choose to stay, with the smart meter, or if you're an apartment complex. And those go out 15 feet. So if you're an apartment complex, you can put it in the middle of a bank of smart meters.
So are there different sizes?
No.
No. So
No.
they're all the same size.
Right.
So the same dot that I would use for my cell phone or computer, I'd use with a smart meter.
That's right, because we now have these new smart dots. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And then so now let's talk about wearing them. What do you do for putting it on your body when you're out in the world? I mean, I've seen some bracelets. Do you guys sell bracelets?
Well, we have a bracelet, but it comes with our Biodot. So we do have bracelets. We have what's called tags. You can put a chain through it, wear it around your neck. It's a very pretty design. The design is the symbol phi, the Greek letter phi, and the company's called Phi Harmonics, because phi is a compatible energy. It's a golden ratio number for our energy field, 1.618, and that's what they're changing the radiations coming off of these devices to. They change it to phi for us. And then we have tags. We have them as a keychain tag, but we want you to wear them 24 hours a day. We want you to bring them to bed with you. So, and they wash. I wear them swimming. I wear them in the shower all the time, and then just keep it next to me in the bed when I go to bed.
And this is all on your website,
Yes,
right?
it is.
Okay, because I'm on your website and I'm looking, and you mentioned the spray. What was the spray for?
To heal the gut, and it's called a secretagogue, and it's in a liposomal format, so it allows it to enter the cell, and it's the neurotransmitters and amino acids that the pituitary needs to make and release human growth hormone. So your gut lining turns over every 4 days, from the mouth to the rectum, all new cells every 4 days. And that's why in 5 days of using this product, I could eat everything again, because my whole gut lining was healed. Because if the body has the ingredients it needs to make healthy cells, the cells can be healthy. And we need human growth hormone in order to heal all those holes they're called tight junction cells in the gut lining, as well as the brain, as well as the placenta.
Are the products expensive?
No, just the Biodot itself, which you can get to just stick on anything you might already own, is $45, $44.95. And then we have starter kits. It was started by a woman who was electromagnetic sensitive, and she wants everybody to be covered by this, because she doesn't want anybody to be as sick as she was, and I don't want anybody to be as sick as I was. And so the starter kits have a Biodot in them in any way that you want to wear it, whether it's the bracelet or the tag or the keychain. And it includes our brand new Smart Dot for your smartphone. So for $54.95, you can get completely covered on your primary wireless device, as well as for yourself. So not very expensive. The spray is $59.95 for a bottle that lasts about 6 weeks. The body is beautifully designed to repair. That's why I became a clinical laboratory scientist to begin with. I'm in awe of our body. How we work and operate our biochemistry is just awing. And the body will heal the breaks in the DNA. The only difference between X-ray and nuclear is it breaks the DNA instantly. The electromagnetic radiations that we're being assaulted with now vibrate the DNA to the point of finally breaking. So we still have the breaks in the DNA. And in the lab animals, they show them if you can get them away from the radiation, that DNA will repair. But now that we're smart metered everywhere and cell phone towers everywhere, there's nowhere for the body to go to do the repair. That's why we have to be constantly vigilant in order to provide the body what it needs to do the repair. And then if people want to work with me, I do consulting. My email is Elizabeth with a Z, at newvoice.net. New voice like old and new, and then voices and speaking, newvoice.net. Please email me. My phone number is 949-551-3397. And website explaining all of the electromagnetic radiation is emffreedom.com. EMF for electromagnetic field, and then freedom. So there's 2 F's in that. emffreedom.com. And we have a brand new site for our new smart dots. That's smart dots. And then instead of .com, it's .us. So it's smartdots.us. As well as my sunscreen site that has a lot of information is Sunscreens. Sunscreens with an S, it's plural. Sunscreensbiohazard.com. So please take a look at these sites. They have a lot of information that can help you look at what you need to do to reduce your exposure, as well as get these products to help calm your body down for any symptoms you may be having.
Okay, Dr. Elizabeth, thank you so much for being here. This was so informative, and I hope everyone goes to check out your site. I know I will be, because I want to protect myself. So thank you so much again for being here.
Thank you. So appreciate the opportunity to share this incredibly important knowledge.
The Fit to Love podcast show offers you 6 days a week of helpful content to achieve the happy life you deserve. Movement Mondays and Tasty Tuesdays are weekly videocasts, while Wellness Wednesdays, Thoughtful Thursdays, Freedom Fridays, and Sexy Saturdays are audio-only shows themed every week to address your holistic life and needs. If the show inspired you, we would love for you to share it and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining us today. Head on over to fittolove.tv for recaps of every show, resources, and to join the community. That's FIT, the number 2, LOVE.tv. Have a fit and fabulous day.